Caution, you are about to enter the no spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Is our political system rigged? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. With 2 weeks left and perhaps the nastiest presidential race in history, many Americans just want the whole thing to end. But Donald Trump has raised the specter of a fixed election. He says the system is rigged. Bernie Sanders also said that.
We will no longer tolerate an economy and a political system that has been rigged by Wall Street to benefit the wealthiest Americans in this country at the expense of everyone else.
Senator Sanders putting forth that big money controls voting patterns as well as the marketplace. Sanders, by the way, got hosed by his own party because many of the so-called super delegates were locked in for Hillary long before Sanders started hurting her in the primary. So that primary system for the Democrats was rigged for sure against Sanders. Donald Trump sees the rigged thing a bit differently, believing that the left-leaning media combined with suspect voting patterns is how the political system is rigged. So let's look at the facts. With more than 100 million Americans voting, it is virtually impossible for the actual vote tally to be rigged. However, a Pew study says that there are serious problems involving voter registration. Is it legal? We'll take a hard look at that in just a few moments. On the media front, there's no question Americans are not getting objective reporting, generally speaking. That's because so many journalists are committed to the left. So many Republicans and conservative candidates faced rigged coverage. Also, there's growing evidence that our justice system has been compromised. And because Hillary Clinton's right in the middle of that, a case can be made that the election had been rigged in her favor by investigative authorities. A very powerful Wall Street Journal editorial today lays it out. Quote, evidence keeps turning up, suggesting that the FBI probe into Hillary Clinton's emails was influenced by political favoritism and double standards, unquote. The latest is the number 2 man in the FBI, Andrew McCabe. His wife, Dr. Jill McCabe, received close to $700,000 from a close friend of Hillary Clinton's Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe. Dr. McCabe was running for the state Senate in Virginia. A McAuliffe-controlled PAC gave her the money. She lost the election anyway. Now, at the time, Hillary Clinton was being investigated by the FBI, and Andrew McCabe was involved in that investigation. So McCabe should have recused himself. If your wife is getting $675,000 from one of Hillary Clinton's closest friends, you don't investigate Hillary Clinton. The appearance of corruption is staggering. Talking Points is not saying there is corruption, but the optics are awful, and FBI Director James Comey had to know that. If you combine the McCabe stuff we just told you about with Comey not calling for a grand jury and basically giving Secretary Clinton every benefit of every doubt, again, you have the appearance of impropriety. So it's no surprise that many Americans, including Mr. Trump, believe the system is rigged. Did I mention Attorney General Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton during the investigation? I mean, come on. Again, the vote cannot be possibly rigged 2 weeks from tonight. And Mr. Trump should accept whatever happens at that vote unless there's compelling evidence of corruption. Undermining our electoral system is not a patriotic thing. But overall, if you don't think the federal political and justice system has severe problems, you are living in the land of Oz. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight reaction. Joining us from Washington, James Holman, national political correspondent for the Washington Post, who has been looking into the FBI Virginia situation. Did I leave anything out? Did I make any mistakes, Mr. Holman?
The FBI is pushing back very, very hard. Terry McAuliffe also pushing back hard on this idea that they knew about it at the time. Kind of the backstory, it started in March 2015. Terry McAuliffe wanted to expand Obamacare, wanted to expand Medicaid in Virginia. He needed a couple seats in the state Senate. They recruited this woman, Jill McCabe, and McAuliffe sat down with her and her husband, now the number 2 man at the FBI. At the time, he was the head of the Washington field office of the FBI. The FBI says that's the only time that this guy, Andrew McCabe, and Governor McAuliffe ever met in person.
Okay, let me stop you there. So the FBI agent, then number 3, in charge of the Washington investigative agency arm of the FBI, meets with McAuliffe, who he knows is Hillary Clinton, one of Hillary Clinton's best friends, accepts, because he knew that the money was going to come from McAuliffe, accepts the fact that his wife is taking $700,000 about, all right, and then continues to investigate Hillary Clinton. All he had to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, all McCabe had to do is say, you know what, I'm going to recuse myself here because my wife is involved with the Democratic machine and Hillary Clinton is being investigated by my agency. Wouldn't that have been the wise thing to do?
The FBI is saying that he did recuse himself from all Virginia public corruption cases. He didn't go to any of her campaign events, and he did not.
But this isn't a Virginia corruption case. This is a national. Did
they
you
say
see,
that he
Mr.
didn't
Homan,
take control of the FBI?
As a reporter, did you see an FBI memo saying that Mr. McCabe recused himself from the investigation of Secretary Clinton? Have you seen that?
No, what they're saying is that he didn't end up getting control of the investigation until after the election.
I don't care.
Lost.
Look, you and I are journalists. I don't care what they're saying. I care about evidence and appearances.
The optics are terrible,
okay.
No question.
You have not seen a memo from the FBI that Mr. McCabe recused himself from the Hillary Clinton investigation, and I have not seen it because it does not exist. It does not exist. So that's the fact, and we start there. The director of the FBI, Comey, should have insisted upon it. He did not. The director of the FBI then went out, all right, and refused to ask for a grand jury about the Hillary Clinton email situation, okay, and then said he believed that there was no criminal intent. All of these things do not make a credible investigation when you put the facts together.
I think, in retrospect, they probably would have handled it differently, unquestionably.
Okay, in retrospect. But it still can be reopened.
Right. Well, the FBI, again, they put out a press release, maybe not a binding thing, but in their press release, they stressed Jim Comey still had the final word on the Hillary email investigation, not this guy.
All right. But do you believe, and this is an opinion question, but it's based upon your reportage, right, do you believe that the FBI knows how bad this looks?
I think people within the FBI realize that it does look very bad. I think they believe no criminal act was committed, but of course that doesn't keep track of the optics, which
right.
I think people, when you're at the FBI, you think in terms of, did you break the law? Was a law broken? Was a rule broken? So you can say we followed the rules, we followed the letter of the law, but in this situation, it does, yes, look terrible, and especially 2 weeks before an election.
That's right.
And it fits into this broader narrative, of course.
Because the FBI didn't bring this forth, somebody else brought it forth, and it is just not what our top investigative agency should be doing. So we appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Next on the rundown, a new hacker leak shows that President Obama may have known Hillary Clinton was using a private server, even though the president said he did not know. Impact segment tonight, another embarrassing Wikileaks situation. In March 2015, President Obama denied knowing that Hillary Clinton was using a private email system as Secretary of State.
Mr. President, when did you first learn that Hillary Clinton used an email system outside the U.S. government for official business while she was Secretary of State?
The same time everybody else learned it through news reports.
But now a newly leaked email, also from March 2015, says that Clinton's staffers were surprised by President Obama's statement that you just heard and very concerned. Clinton advisor Cheryl Mills wrote to Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta, quote, "We need to clean this up. He has emails from her. They do not say state.gov, which is the official State Department email." That's an unquote. Now, giving Mr. Obama the benefit of the doubt, he most likely did not read Secretary Clinton's emails himself, but surely they were printed in his briefing papers, and somebody should have flagged him on the private address. That's the way the White House system is supposed to work. Then there is the dishonesty from the Clinton camp itself. On March 2nd, the day after the New York Times reported that Secretary of State Clinton used a private email server on the job to conduct national business, Clinton confidant Neera Tanden wrote to Podesta, quote, "Why didn't they get this stuff out like 18 months ago? So crazy." Podesta, currently running the Clinton campaign, replies, quote, "Unbelievable. Rapon Tandon emails back, quote, I guess I know the answer. They wanted to get away with it, unquote. There's your smoking gun. Joining us now from Washington, Lisa Booth here in New York City, Juan Williams. So there's a couple of tracks here. There's the Clinton people who have said time and time again, we didn't know we were doing anything wrong. Didn't know it. Obviously, they did know it.
Obviously.
Okay? And then we have President Obama, who then goes on and says, hey, I don't know, like you knew, I didn't know. When emails coming to the president were printed with her private email address. You say?
Let's begin where I think the critical issue, which is accountability of people in power. So this is an important issue for me. I think you can't have misinformation coming from the president. It's important the American people know what he knew and when he knew it, and that he explained himself.
So he should explain this now.
Absolutely, he should explain it, because I think accountability for people in power is absolute. And I think that you can see from the Clinton side that Cheryl Mills thinks this is a problem because of what she's writing, and then you go back
And explain to the audience who Cheryl Mills
So
is.
Cheryl Mills was the chief of staff, but also the lawyer. She's a legal
That's right.
person.
She's Hillary Clinton's best friend. Does everybody understand that?
You are
Okay.
too much. But
I'm
will
not
say
too
that-
much. I'm telling the truth.
Well, but I'm just saying.
Somebody has to.
Okay, so that's
You know?
who Cheryl Mills is, and so I think what you
So
see is the
this whole
Podesta
Clinton
camp
thing was
firing back.
BS from the jump about the private server. BS.
Well, I can't.
From the jump.
As you
see
pointed
it,
out,
see it, and that's it.
As you pointed out, he's not looking. How would he know about who's
I'm not talking about
He doesn't read the
I'm talking
email
the Clinton
address.
machine.
Oh, the Clinton machine.
Everybody knew, and they said they didn't know.
Okay.
Lisa,
Well,
what do you say?
And Bill, I think it's important here to note the fact that, as you mentioned, Cheryl Mills obviously saw this as a campaign issue and saw this as a problem that President Obama was saying one thing, but in fact had received emails that were not marked with the State Department email address. And the bigger problem here for Hillary Clinton, Bill, is you can't look at any of this in isolation. You have to look at everything that has gone on pertaining to her private email server from the top down. You even have a Fox News report not that long ago of an FBI official saying that this was top down.
Lisa, everyone knows Hillary Clinton did not tell the truth about her email. With the
Bill,
exception of one person, James Comey. And here's how bad this is, off the first thing. The FBI director, all right, made no mention of this email. No mention of it. Did he? No. He didn't mention it. Wait, Lisa. He didn't mention it in his summation of the case. WikiLeaks put it out. So that tells me that Comey didn't even, that either Comey didn't know about it, which is a dereliction of the FBI's duty, or he knew about it and covered it up. Go.
Well, right. And I'm saying we have to look at the broader context of everything, from the fact what you mentioned in your talking points memo earlier on the show, the fact that you have the nation's top law enforcement that met with Bill Clinton, whose wife is the subject of a criminal investigation at the time.
Okay, we all know that,
plane.
Lisa. You're going over. This is new stuff tonight. Now, do you agree with?
But I understand that, Bill. But you have to look at it. The point I'm making, Bill, is the fact that this is damning in of itself. That being said, you also have to look at it in the broader context of all these other things.
That's why we did the talking points memo to lay it all out.
Which is what I'm pointing to make that broader
last
point,
question
Bill.
for Juan. Either Comey knew about this WikiLeaks email, which he should have done, because the FBI had to go in and look at all. Either he knew, then he didn't mention it. Mm-hmm. Can you explain that? Can anyone?
Well, remember, he made a deal to get Cheryl Mills's laptop.
Right. So
remember that?
Why didn't
so
Comey
I think
mention
he had to see it, because I think he sees it as a political thing. It's not a matter of.
Stop.
Right.
Why didn't the director of the FBI tell the American people about that email?
Because he felt it was political. It did not speak to a matter of criminal action.
What? The campaign itself, the Hillary Clinton machine itself, is admitting this is bad and they've got to do something. And Comey doesn't think it has anything to do with the investigation.
It has to do with whether or not the president was straight with 60 Minutes in the American
Keep the president
people.
out.
Oh, okay. Well, then in terms of Clinton,
it's just the Podesta, what's her name thing?
Cheryl Mills.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
the other woman.
Tandem.
Yeah. Tandem.
Yeah.
Comey didn't mention it.
Right. And you think that, I think that's politics, and they're going back and forth trying
He's
to cover
the FBI director.
Yes.
No politics. He's the investigator.
Right. So if it was criminal, he would go at it. But he thinks it's politics.
He didn't blanket mention it.
You think
that is so damning.
For Comey?
Yeah.
Okay, I get your point.
I think it's damning for all of the above. We should have known about this before, and the fact that we didn't is a big, big problem.
All right.
And this is a problem for the Clinton campaign as well.
It's obvious the FBI booted the investigation, I believe intentionally now. It's obvious Hillary Clinton did not tell the truth about her private email server beyond any reasonable doubt. And now the American public has to go and vote for president. That's it. Directly ahead, Donald Trump cancels an interview with a Latina journalist in Florida. What happened? We'll try to find out.